Welcome to another episode of Andrew's Life. Hope everyone's doing great today. I am out here getting in some vitamin D. It's nice and sunny down here, 70 degrees, and I'm in one of those type of moods to where you know I'm just I'm just extra appreciative today. I try to be appreciative of everything every day because I do feel that my life has been full of blessings for the most part. But today I'm off of work. I'm getting stuff done around the house. And I just wanted to take a little bit of time to show a little bit of appreciation. I made a I made a short video the other day asking everyone what y'all wanted to see moving forward on this channel. And a bunch of you sounded off in the comments on that video. I appreciate every last one of you. I wasn't sure whether I was going the right direction on this channel or not. I had a couple of ideas of what I wanted to do on this channel. And those ideas I've had were not far from what I typically do on this channel and what I've done on this channel before. And I would say for the most part, most of you kind of like the way I'm doing things. In either A, I talk about random stuff, or B, I might put up a traveling blog video, which it's been a while since I've done a traveling blog video. It's been a while. Because, like I told you guys before, I've been busy trying to get things in order for my move. And secondly, I wanted to take a little bit of time I wanted to take some time off the road. I wanted to take some time off the road. I wanted to stay home and just take a moment and truly get to know my surroundings and just stop and I guess smell I forgot how they put it, but just take a moment and smell the flowers. Even though I'm getting ready to move, I'm still going to be living within the state of Alabama. But anyhow, I'm just sitting here thinking of how good I have it here in Alabama. And I'm going to be honest with you people. When I first came here to Alabama, despite the fact that I wanted to move here and I wanted to start myself a new life, it took me, I would say it took me a while to adjust to the ways of Alabama. And to be honest, I'm still adjusting to Alabama because there's still a lot of things about Alabama which I don't feel I quite know and I'm still learning, to be honest and fair. Now, me being from Indiana, and I grew up in northern Ohio, northeast Ohio to be more specific, which is basically the greater Cleveland area. Now, granted, I've lived in the South before. I lived in Kentucky, I lived in Tennessee, but Alabama is a different type of South compared to Kentucky and Tennessee. Now, some people, now if you come across a person who's a true, I don't want to offend no one, but if you come across someone who's a true Southerner and they done lived in the South their entire life, they wouldn't even consider Kentucky the South. And Tennessee would be known at best as the gateway to the South. Even back in the day when I used to live in Tennessee, Tennessee was always known as a gateway to the South. And although Kentucky might be located geographically below the Mason-Dixon, a lot of a lot of your long time true Southerners don't look at Kentucky as being the South. It's kind of like West Virginia and Virginia. Yeah, it may be, yeah, those states are below the Mason-Dixon, but a lot of people don't really consider, a lot of your true Southerners don't really consider those states the South. But anyways, Alabama is a different type of South compared to Tennessee. And I don't know exactly how to explain it other than what I just said. Now, here in Alabama, and I would say in many parts of the South anymore, especially down here in the deep South. I mean, there's another YouTuber. I forgot the name of his channel, but I was watching a little bit of his video earlier today. He's out of North Carolina, and he was making a video talking about how the South done lost its Southern hospitality. And I've done videos like that myself on this channel before, mainly out of frustration, to be quite frank. But honestly, if you're looking for Southern hospitality, whether you're in Tennessee, whether you're in the Carolinas, or whether you're somewhere down here in the deep South, Alabama, Mississippi, and Georgia, it depends on what part of these states you reside in. Now, if you're gonna only move to the major cities, or you're gonna only live in the tourist trap areas where all the touristy stuff is at, or you're gonna only live in areas that might make some larger YouTube channels top 10 list, or some traveling magazines top 10 list or top 20 list, then yeah, you're gonna probably move to those places, and you're gonna find that the Southern hospitality, so to speak, is not gonna be as present as you may want it to be, as you think it would be. However, if you're willing to do a little bit of exploring, and you're willing to think a little bit outside the box, if you're willing to move to many of the small towns that sprinkle the South, that might be an hour or further from the metro, then your chances of landing a city or community, or a town or a community, to where some of that old school Southern hospitality is still intact is going to be a lot better. Chances of you, I guess, getting a taste of how things used to be before a lot of these other areas started to develop a whole lot. And now all you see are a bunch of box businesses and all type of subdivisions to where houses are sitting on top of each other. If you're looking for that old school Southern feel and experience, if, there's I mean, fortunately, I mean, there's not as much of that today as there used to be maybe 10 or 20 years ago. But even today, as I speak, it's still out there. Especially if you're here in Alabama, or you go over to Mississippi, or you check out central to southern Georgia. It's still out there. And there's still small pockets of Tennessee that you can find that as well. I mean, small pockets of Tennessee. I would say you go to Tennessee. If you go to, let's say, western Tennessee, towards Memphis, you'll find a fair amount of your smaller southern communities to where housing prices have not gotten insane, and get a you can still enjoy some of that southern charm, for lack of better wording. But the thing is, now this YouTuber that I'm discussing, he's from New York, and he moved, I guess, several years ago. He left New York and he moved to North Carolina. Now, for those of you that are not from the South, and you're in the South, and you're talking, there ain't no Southern hospitality around here, blah, 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 this and that and the third, the only suggestion that I can give you guys is you're going to probably have to leave where you're living, and you're going to have to be willing to explore some of these smaller communities. The real small hole in the wall communities that nobody ever talks about, that most YouTubers don't even show on their channel. The little small communities that, I'm gonna be honest, even myself has been guilty of calling ran down because the infrastructure in those communities are not what many of us people who are northerners are used to. But those are the communities that most likely, if you're looking to experience some old school southern hospitality, that old school southern feel, so to speak, those are the kind of communities that you're going to most likely have to move to. The communities are further out, the communities to where the infrastructure may not be what you're used to. And another thing which I'm still getting used to it. I know for some of you it might sound funny, but another thing I'm getting used to is when I go places, like when I go places and many of these super small towns, people still acknowledge your presence. Like the community where my new house is located. When I go into town, people still acknowledge your presence. And I have to, and I'll be honest. I mean, sometimes I catch myself looking at these people like, "Who is you? I don't know you." And then once I catch myself doing that, I try my hardest to turn that stuff around and acknowledge these people right back. Because now, granted, I've always considered people in Indiana, for the most part, nice people. But even up in Indiana, even in your smaller communities up in Indiana, people are not going to acknowledge your presence in the same manner that they do down here in the South. So, so yeah, down here in the South, I mean, I kiss my, like I said, I kiss myself kind of looking at these people like, I don't know you, you don't know me. I don't say that, but I kiss myself thinking that. And another thing which I'm getting used to is the pace of life down here in the deep south in many of these smaller communities is significantly slower compared to many other communities throughout the United States. So that's another thing which I'm getting used to. So for those of you that, like I said, for those of you that truly want to get that taste of the South, for what it, for, you want to get a taste of the true South, so to speak, ask yourself some questions. Do you really want to live in the true South? I mean, some of you think you do, but just by the demeanor of some of you when I listen to you, I don't think you really do. I mean, you say you do, but I don't think you really do. I think if you were to move into some of these smaller communities to where you'll get a better taste and feel of the true South, I would say within 6 months you'd probably be ready to pack up and leave. Not because the area is bad, but because mentally that's not who you really are. Now I know for me, like I said, I've been down here in Alabama for about 3 years, for the better part of 3 years. And like I said, 3 years later, I still find myself resorting back to my Midwestern ways. And I'm still getting used to the way people are here in Alabama, at least in the region of Alabama where I reside. Because I mean, here, like where I'm in, the place, like where I live here in Alabama, I don't live in none of the major cities. I don't live in none of the communities that you're gonna see on any top 10 or top 20 list of places to reside. I don't live in none of the tourist attraction areas. I live in small towns that most people never even heard of, unless, of course, you're familiar with that particular region of Alabama. My new house, I'm out in the sticks for the most part. I'm out in the sticks. And although that's the type of lifestyle that I desire to live, I still find myself, as someone who's not from Alabama, who's not even from the South, as someone who grew up in Northeast Ohio, the greater Cleveland area, as someone who has lived in the Midwest the majority of his life, I still find myself getting used to the ways of Alabama. Now, is Alabama perfect? Of course not. Nowhere anybody lives is going to ever be perfect. However, I have come to appreciate Alabama. I have come to appreciate the slower pace down here in Alabama. And the fact that you still got people in many of these smaller communities that will actually acknowledge your presence, I come to appreciate that as well. Although I'm still getting used to it, I also came to appreciate it. And another thing that I appreciate about being here in Alabama is your cost of living is low. Your property tax rates are super low. I mean, like today, I'm sitting outside, short sleeve shirt, 70 degrees outside, getting in this vitamin D. I checked the weather up in Indiana, and in many parts of Indiana, the temperatures are in the 40s and cloudy, like in central Indiana, the part of Indiana where I used to live. The temperature is it's like 45 degrees up there and cloudy. As we're down here at 70 and sunny, the part of Alabama where I'm at. So I appreciate the climate that's here in Alabama. I mean, basically, I couldn't ask for a better day to come out here and record this video. And although the wages down here are lower than many parts of the country, I also understand that the quality of life that you're able to live down here is, if you're looking to live a half decent quality of life down here, you can do it at a significantly more affordable price than most other parts of the country. Even compared to, now, Indiana also, although Indiana is one of the cheapest places in the country where you can reside, still, when I compare the cost of living down here in Alabama to up in Indiana, the cost of living down here where I'm at is considerably cheaper compared to Indiana. Like, I'll give you guys an example. Like the part of Alabama where I'm at, uh, you can buy a house in town sitting on upwards of a half acre for $50,000, and the house be turnkey move-in ready. Now, granted, you might have to do a little bit of painting and minor touches, but nothing major. And you can buy that here in Alabama, sitting on a half acre in town for that price. If I take that same amount of money and I try to buy something up in Indiana, that same $50,000 or so up in Indiana, as far as it goes for the lot size, I'm not even going to, I'll probably get like, honestly, I wouldn't even get 2/10 of an acre. I mean, I would be doing, if I got like, let's say, points, let me think here. Like up in Indiana, if I got, let's say, a 7,000 or an 8,000 square foot lot, I would be doing good for that price. As we're down here, like I just said, you can get upwards of a half an acre for 50 grand. I mean, with the house, of course. As we're in Indiana, if I buy a house for 50 grand, I mean, the house most likely is going to be a fixer upper. On top of that, I might get 7 to 8,000 square feet of land, which is a lot smaller. So I do appreciate the fact that the housing prices here are significantly cheaper than Indiana. So yeah, like I said, today's one of them type of days where I'm off work. I'm doing a little bit of relaxing. I'm making videos. I'm doing stuff around the house, and I just wanted to take a minute just to make a video of appreciation. So again, I appreciate every last one of you for starting off in the comment section of the video that I made a couple of days ago, asking what you guys wanted to hear from me, what you guys wanted on this channel. So I can't thank you guys enough for the comments, for taking the time to, interact in the comment section. So on that note, stay blessed. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Oh, I just want to add one more thing, which I appreciate about being here in Alabama. Now, in many parts of Alabama, even in certain parts of places like North Alabama, there's a lot of places, even within town, even within the metro, where you can move to and you can, purchase a home or whatever. To where when you go outside and you look around, you're not going to see a bunch of buildings sitting on top of each other practically. You can go outside and look around and you'll still get to see all type of nature. You'll still get to see the trees. You'll still get to see nice green grass. As for any more, in many of these other states you go to, where they're doing a whole bunch of developing. Like, for an example, when I drive into Tennessee, the places that used to be land and the places that used to be nothing but field with a bunch of trees, now they're gonna cut down all the trees, and now what you see are a bunch of subdivisions, a bunch of condominium communities, a bunch of big box businesses all over the place, and all the natural beauty of many parts of Tennessee where I used to frequent are all gone. If like, you would never recognize those parts of Tennessee no longer. So when it comes to Alabama, at least most of Alabama at this point, that's another thing that I appreciate. I appreciate the fact that Alabama, when it comes to its, I guess you can say, infrastructure, it's not so developed that the natural beauty that the state offers has went away. So for those of you that are looking to move to Alabama, or you just moved to Alabama, and you're wishing that Alabama would develop more, you're wishing that Alabama would become more like Tennessee or North Georgia or Florida or wherever the hell you're from, all I gotta say is be careful what you wish for. Now I know a lot of your neighbors down. I know a lot of your Alabama natives down here. They wish for Alabama to stay the way it is. Even though I'm not from Alabama, I also wish for Alabama to remain the way it is. So that's all I got for you guys. I just wanted to add that little segment into this video. Stay blessed. I'll catch you guys on the next one.